Hello again, everybody. You are watching The Last Word presented by the Vegas Voice. I'm Dan Roberts, the publisher of the Vegas Voice, and I'm joined with my political editor and the love of my life, Rhonda Goodman, who is going to talk a little bit. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Thank you. Well, welcome, everybody. Before we begin, I'd like to make sure that you are all aware that the Vegas Voice is the largest senior newspaper in the Las Vegas Valley. We reach all the way from Aliente to Boulder City and beyond and cover all of the Las Vegas Valley and Henderson. If you want to know how to get the paper and you're not already getting it, Dan, tell them how to get it.
Everybody and anyone can contact the Vegas Voice at 702-251-4441, and we'll put you on our VIP mailing list. What we'd like to do, Rhonda, is start today with a conclusion of your work with the Nevada Supreme Court and the Commission on Guardianship. It's been about a year and a half, hasn't it?
It sure has, and pick up that book and show them.
I'm going to pick it up.
The end product, this is the recommendation that the Commission has sent to the Supreme Court, 320-some pages worth. And it's recommendations that Justice Hardesty, our chairman, sent to the Supreme Court. They're going to go over it and pick out everything they like about it, send it to the legislature for recommendations of bills to change the laws that govern guardianship. And basically, the ones I like the best are, putting it in a nutshell and making a long story very short, we want to recommend the least constrictive means for people that need help. We're changing the word ward to persons in need of protection. The least restrictive means to care for them, make sure they're safe, make sure their needs are met without putting them in guardianship. And this means family or other people taking care of them in their own home if possible, such as, for example, a caregiver taking care of them in their home, a nurse's aide, things like this, or preferably a family member taking care of them in their home rather than putting them in guardianship in a nursing home or a facility where they won't feel as comfortable. That would be the priority, the main thing, if that can be done. You know,
and another question, I know what it was like living with you during those 16, 17 months. There really was a tremendous amount of work by you, I know, and the committee itself. How do you go about handling it? What's your feelings on it concerning the other members and really the whole group as a whole?
A lot of it was very stressful. The meeting started after the chairman made his statements and things and go through the minutes and normal things like that. There were resident comments, and every meeting once a month, we would have quite a few people come in who were family members who had people that had gone through guardianship. Many of them had since passed. Many of them had people since released. And they would tell stories that would just break your heart. Some of them were attacking people on the commission that had awful experiences. Yeah. And it was really amazing. I would watch Justice Hardesty's reaction to all of these stories, and some of the people on the commission, of course, but especially his, because I wanted to read his reaction to it. And he would sit there very stoically, but you could tell he was taking it all in. And for a long time, I thought a lot of it was just going in one ear and out the other. But when I saw the recommendations start coming out towards the end of the commission meeting, he heard it. He heard everything that was said, and you can see his reaction to a lot of those things that were said in those recommendations from him and the justices, especially the justices in the northern part of the state. Well, they got it. They heard it.
Well, we're going to find out exactly because we're going to be going up to Carson City. Yes, exactly. So we're going to be following up on it to make sure. So, again, thank you for the work that you put in. I know what you did.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a quick break, and when we will be back, we will have a conversation with Christine DeCorte, who is a Republican candidate for the Nevada Assembly. You're listening to The Last Word, and we will be right back.
Ichabod's is the place to play. Good food, that's what all the locals say. Good time. Ichabod's is the place to play. Come win, that's what all the locals say. You win, Ichabod's is the place to play. Come win, that's what all the locals say. Come win, come on down and bring a friend. You win, Ichabod's is the place to win.
And we are back. You are watching The Last Word, presented by The Vegas Voice. I'm Dan Roberts. I'm joined by Ronna Goodman. And we have the great pleasure of introducing our guest, Christine DeCorte, who is the Republican candidate for Nevada Assembly District 18. Christine, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I do want to make a special appreciation of both of you for what you are doing for Nevada seniors. It's just a travesty what is going on with this guardianship issue, and I'm amazed at all the work you've done. It's just a selfless act of what you're doing is wonderful, and I hope that the people appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's very nice. Christine, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and more importantly, why would anybody in this climate now decide to run for political office?
Good question, Dan. I've been a Las Vegas resident now for over 35 years. I brought my family up here. They went to school, the public schools, had to stay on top of it, but they got a great education and both work for Fortune 500 companies, so I'm very proud of them. I've had very, very good success in business. I've been securities licensed, insurance licensed. I've had a tremendous business, so I really want to give back to the community. I've been very involved in some of the Republican organizations, but always as a vice president telling them I do not want to be the president on these organizations because I don't have time. I'm a mother. I'm a business owner. I have other things that we're taking a priority. Now, both my kids, like I said, are successful. They've moved out. They're living in D.C. Okay. My business, I've got a great business partner with his MBA, and he's doing wonderful things. He's younger than me, and we've been partners for 20 years. So he's handling so much of the business that I can almost call myself semi-retired. I only see a couple of clients a week. So for the first time, I am able to give back. So I thought, where do I want to give back? Well, I wanted to give back where my passion is. My passion has always been politics. So I did look at who was our assembly person at the time. I looked at what they have done, which wasn't impressive. I had just moved to that district. I've been in that district now for 2 years.
Okay.
I brought my family up in Green Valley, which was about a 10-minute drive away. And one of the things that I noticed that was incredibly disheartening was the quality of life from 10 minutes out of Green Valley into where I am now. And I felt, a lot of graffiti on the empty office buildings. I just didn't feel it was as good of an environment to bring up a family as where I'd been before that, and it was only a 10-minute drive.
And Assembly District 18, approximately what are the boundaries?
It's as east as Sam Boyd Stadium,
okay, which
is right there at the wetlands, and it comes out as west to Sand Hill, and it's from Sunset to Flamingo. But it's gerrymandered in there. It's not a square. But that's the boundaries pretty much. But it's gerrymandered within that area.
And
does it go all the way down to Lake Mead too?
It stops at Sunset.
Oh, okay.
So no, it doesn't go out that far. As a matter of fact, it doesn't go out to the casino that Mr. Marsh owns out there. I was hoping it did. He still gave me a campaign contribution. Bless his heart.
Okay.
What are the most important things? Assuming you get elected, you go up to Carson City, what are you looking to accomplish?
Well, one of my pet peeves is transparency. I trust that society is mature enough and strong enough to handle the truth. Let's give them the truth.
Right.
I think it's insulting to their intelligence to give them anything other than the truth. So that's one of the things that I want to bring, transparency. Also, education for me is very, very important. Like I said, my children went to public schools, but we researched that in the school that they went to was one of the top 25 schools in the nation, written in by Newsweek at the time here in Las Vegas. And it was the only school that had the IB program, which my daughter did go through the IB program, which got her the scholarships into George Washington University in D.C.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, so I mean, I was very grateful to that. My son, again, he graduated with honors from the same high school, and he's gone on to work for a Fortune 500 company. So public school did well, but I remember when they were young, I was appalled at the lack of involvement I, as a parent, really had. I couldn't make a choice of where they went. And then when they changed the zoning around, my kids couldn't go to the high school that we moved to that area for. So I had to get zoning rezoned for it. And so that was kind of frustrating, but it wasn't that difficult. But it wasn't difficult because we already had one child in that school, and they knew that we wanted them both to be going to the same school. But then I realized the curriculum. I had no control over the curriculum, and I thought some of it was not particularly right. And I certainly did not believe in Common Core.
Okay.
So I wanted to have a little bit louder of a voice, and I had to totally be on top of, not on a weekly basis, not on a monthly basis, but I was on top of, and my husband and I both, on their education on a daily basis. Did you get your homework in? What grade did you get on that report that you did? And why did you only get a B? I thought that was pretty darn good. Let me see what they said about it. You really have to be, it's not about sending your kids to school, dropping them off, and forgetting about it. You have to be involved. And if you can't be involved and you're trusting everything in the schools, then you need to have choices. Do you want to take them to a different school? Do you want to have the voucher program? And so I believe that parents are the ultimate decision makers of their children. They're their children.
And obviously one of the biggest subjects to come up is the voucher program, the ESA. They said that it's legal, but you have to, we pay for it somehow, work out another way of doing it. Are you in favor of something like that, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm in favor of anything that puts the decision-making with a parent. Again, just like I trust parents, just like I trust the public to be able to handle the truth, I trust most parents to want what's best for their children, more so than a bureaucracy.
As simple as that.
As simple as that. As simple as that.
Again, B, I know you talked about children, education. What other issues do you regard as very important?
Taxes.
Always taxes, right? Yeah.
Always taxes. Yeah. But that and death are the only things we can avoid in life, right? Well, again, being a business owner, basically sometimes there have been months as a business owner where my employees made more money than I did. And they're still asking for raises, and they want a 401k, and at 5 o'clock they knock off and they're home, and I'm still figuring out how I'm making payroll and different things like that. So the money that I paid in taxes at the end of the year was actually my profit. It was my money, and then I had to give it all the taxes. So at some point, especially for small business owners, and I think that the mom and pop small business owner is the backbone of America. Right. And if you take that away, all we have are the large corporations that people are complaining about. Yep. So you can't, and when I had my securities license, the NASD and the, all the securities regulations, they're not just the most heavily regulated industry in America. It's the most heavily regulated industry in the world, in the entire world. And just to open your doors, and you had to set up a file exactly how they told you to set it up. And if they walked in your office and said, we want to look through your files today, you had to clear your agenda, everything. You might have been seeing your top client that day, and you were going to close the biggest deal of your life. You couldn't go. You had to stop what you were doing. They had to go through everything. And if you had one paper out of order in your file and it wasn't set up, you could be fined for that. And it was amazing what you had to do. So it cost me more money to set up a file for a client that just bought a $50,000 mutual fund than it was worth to have that client. And so I found myself telling clients that I'm not going to take you under $50,000. Well, that sounded snooty. I didn't want to be. It wasn't, though. It was a survival, basically. So the NASD and some of the regulations, as much as we need them for a lot of things. Obviously, Bernie Madoff. Where were they for him? Yeah. But still, some of the regulations are a little overboard.
Mm-hmm. I guess, again, and I know before the show you've been talking with Rhonda about guardianship, and obviously we've been obsessed about that for the last 2 years. Hopefully you're on board and talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Part of my financial planning with my clients is, do you have all of your directives set up? Is all of that in place right now? And I would at one point help them set those up, because I said, you want to make sure if you want your daughter to be your guardian, then you get that in place now, because at the time when you need a guardian, if you don't have that in place, not anybody can almost be your guardian. It could be your next door neighbor that you don't like, because the government does not assume that your children have your best interest at heart.
That's correct.
And so what I think has happened is some companies have taken advantage of that little wiggle room in there and thought, yeah, let's go with it. And they're making money on it. And that's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to help the seniors. We have a huge senior population right now, and seniors are loving and trusting. And when you come to them and you're talking to them about their future and how you're going to help them, you've got to be coming from a place of caring and a place of love. And if you're coming from a place of profit, that's scary. And that's what we're dealing with. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
Well, again, we can announce it now that, we will be supporting and endorsing Christine's candidacy. We wish you all the best on something.
I appreciate
like
that.
No, really, because, again, we've been up to Carson City the last session, and we saw exactly how most of the elected officials really weren't aware of this guardianship issue. When we told them about it, they didn't believe it.
They didn't. And there's one other area with your opponent that I would like to mention and see where you stand. Your opponent is of the opinion, and he said it right there in committee, that all HOA dwellers are very happy, which brought a roar of laughter from the crowd. But he actually said in the 2015 legislature that he walked his entire neighborhood and everybody told him they were very happy with their HOA. And I was lobbying for HOA changes, and I just looked at him in amazement and said, "You must have missed a few doors, Mr. Carrillo." and I'm wondering if you have spoken to any of the HOA lobbyists and how you feel about that, because there's a lot of things very wrong with HOAs right now.
Well, actually, I've met the president of the HOA in the complex that my opponent lives in, who has told me some of the problems that they have going on. As a matter of fact, I've got to call into him today. But also, there's a man named Bob Frank, who the governor has assigned to be overlooking all of the HOAs, and knowing that there are so many problems, knowing that there's so many people that are upset by them, or they wouldn't need this special committee to do it. So obviously, that's not right. So is he uninformed or is he non-transparent?
There you go. There you go. Christine, we want to thank you so much for appearing. Again, the Vegas Voice is happily and proudly endorsing you. We wish you all the best. And we're going to wrap this up. And we thank everybody for watching The Last Word, presented by the Vegas Voice. And we hope to see you again. You go next.
Absolutely. I go next with
thanking everybody.
Absolutely thanking everybody. There was something else I was going to say, and it's danced right out of my head. So we will see you next time. Please tune in to the Vegas Voice. And Dan, I'll turn it over to you because my mind just went blank.
It went blank, so you had like another senior moment.
Senior moment,
again,
absolutely.
we thank everybody. Christine, one more quick thing. If people want to follow up, get information, contribute, what do they do?
Yes, you can call me, and I have to look it up here because I don't call myself. 702-771-9282 is my phone number, or electchristinedecorte.com or christinedecorte@gmail.com. So either of those ways, I'd love to hear from any of you.
You got it. And thank you so much for appearing, and thank you, as always, for being with me. And this is The Last Word, presented by the Vegas Voice.
Thank you.